Hey, welcome friends to my podcast, Healing Body, Mind, and Spirit. And today I want to talk about healing the body. And the topic is, what are low histamine foods that can help calm a sensitive gut? And the reason for today's topic is because somebody asked me, hey, do you have a list of foods that are low histamine to help her son who's going through some difficulty with his gut? So, first of all, my question is just having a list of low histamine foods, will that be helpful enough? So I want to give a little bit more information than just rattling off like, hey, a bunch of foods that are known to be low histamine. And let's talk about histamine. So it's good to understand just like a bigger category of foods that are higher in histamine and what is histamine. So, and why would you want to, avoid those foods that have histamine or cause a reaction of histamine? So histamine is a hormone, and it is released from the mast cells and basophils, in your cells, in the cellular membranes in your body. It's sort of like, well, I shouldn't say sort of, it is, it can be an allergic or even an anaphylactic type of reaction that is stimulated from your immunoglobulin E, IgE. And when the liver, it becomes overloaded, it can't do its job and, you know, take the histamine away and other chemicals. So the histamine and chemicals just build up. It can't keep up. And histamine makes you feel itchy, irritable, swollen, frustrated. It's that itch you just can't scratch. So histamine is a reaction that your body has to something. So it can be to an allergy, and an antigen, to something you're allergic to, something that you're sensitive to. And it can also be contained in foods. So there are foods that have a higher histamine level. So it will help to know what your tolerance level is. And for some people, some foods they may tolerate better, than other foods. So it also does involve a little bit of some adding foods in, taking them out, and still finding the right things that work for you. There still is going to be some work because you can't just have a list of foods and, hey, okay, do you just eat those foods and nothing else that's not on that list? Or, do you just look at a list that's high histamine foods and just avoid those? Because, in general, foods that are higher in histamine are aged foods. So anything that is aged, which is going to be a hard type of cheese, a hard aged cheese, like your, Parmesan, and, your luncheon meats, anything that is processed basically, and with nitrites. Wine has high histamines. Anything that's too old or kind of going off, it's a little bit bad. And just so you know, everything that I'm telling you, I mean, if you buy my book, My Ancient Healing for Modern People, you you can read in the section about your liver, nutrition for the liver, chi stagnation, which is tension, and that is, information about the liver. And I go over liver physiology, and that information about the histamine is in that, book. So you can definitely pick that up, from Amazon or lulu.com. And that would be, Ancient Healing for Modern People by Michele Arnold-Pirtle. And I also have the list of foods for the liver in my It's All About Your Gut. Again, that's, you can buy that on Amazon or lulu.com/shop. You just, enter the title there and that should definitely come up. Before we carry on, I must, of course, tell you to make sure that you read my disclaimer. Of course, this does not take the place of any health professional, and the products and methods here not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent illness or disease. And why should you listen to me? Well, I'm an acupuncture medicine doctor. I've been in the field for over 22 years, and a lot of what I see either, of course, does entail helping people with pain and gut health, and a lot of that has to do with nutrition. And if you're listening, you are probably on my Living Well with Dr. Michele, my holistic health channel. So that is at livingwellwithdrmichele.locals.com. And I spell my name with one L, just so you know. And this information is based on my books. It's all about your gut and ancient healing for modern people. So the front of this, if you're watching the YouTube version of the podcast, I will post one there. You're seeing an image of some sliced apples with some parsley, because generally low histamine foods are your fresh fresh fruits and vegetables and some herbs. So, but again, the older they get, they can also have a reaction in your body where there's, histamine is produced, or they can have more histamine, the older that food gets. So getting back to, why would you want to have low histamine foods, and what's going on in your body? Like, do you have ulcers? Like, is there inflammation? So anything that is inflamed, I think of is red. I think of red, swollen, hot, painful, or burning. So that can be canker sores. This can be ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease, where there's actually sores in either the small intestine or in the colon, and it's very, painful. Or a person may have ulcers in their duodenum. They may have peptic ulcers in their stomach, and you need to be eating anti-inflammatory foods. So low histamine is also low inflammatory. You're going to have a lower inflammatory, reaction, and these foods generally are calming to the system, calming to the gut. So healing, ulcers and intestinal inflammation. So instead of just looking at just the list, it helps to know, how do you cook the foods? So that is important too. So to know that fried foods, overly heated foods, create more histamines. So it's also, the method of cooking that can help. So you want to use, foods that are more in soups or congee. So congee is like a porridge, congee of oats or barley or rice cabbage congees. You want to avoid citrusy foods, spicy hot foods, and alcohol, plums, tobacco, excessive salt. And this, what I'm reading to you is on page 54 of my It's All About Your Gut, and I'm talking here about healing ulcers and stomach fire. We call that stomach fire in acupuncture medicine, and it makes perfect sense, right? You have stomach fire. It's just how it sounds, it's just what you would imagine when you talk about stomach fire. And the foods, that you would want to add in would be like honey water, banana, avocado without the pit, tofu, goat's milk, spinach, some cucumber, cabbage, potato, lettuce, chlorophyll-rich foods like spirulina, your cereal grasses, marshmallow root, chamomile, red raspberry leaf, flaxseed, and raw cabbage juice. So drink it immediately after juicing on an empty stomach. So you do need to get a juicer. I recommend that's the best way to do the cabbage juice. And your grains should be gluten-free type of grains, because grains in general can be acidic, just as like red meats and protein. They're more acidic to the body. So you want to have foods that are not acidic, but red meats can also be seen on a list of low histamine. It's just again, it's all a matter of how much you eat, how it's cooked, and your body. So that is, in a nutshell of some of the foods that you want to add in. Generally, you are going to be looking at your fresh fruits and vegetables, and foods that would fall into the damp heat in the intestines or stomach fire in acupuncture medicine. So that's also when I talk about your body type, your signs and symptoms that show up for specific types of people. That is in my it's all about your gut. So this here, damp heat in the intestines, is on page 81 of that book. And so it just gives you some key signs and symptoms like, hey, is this my body type? And then we talk about some different foods like your grains. You're going to have, like some lentils or northern beans, olive oil, pumpkin seeds, peppermint, marjoram, celery, romaine lettuce, your non-starchy vegetables like your shiitake mushrooms, carrots, zucchini, scallions. And that will help you more than just, reading a list like, oh, okay, there's artichokes, asparagus. I mean, we can read, that's a long list of lots of foods. We just know that, if you're going to go with a different body type, you're going to have more success, because it can gear you towards at least a starting point of what foods to add in and add out without just doing it one by one, because you'll read and hear, oh, I'm damp heat in the intestines, so this fits me, versus the weak cold type of person, or a person with that is more windy type of person. And the windy type person also is a different, liver type of person. So there's more sensitivities to foods and smells and environment and allergies and hay fever and asthma, eczema, skin irritations, poor adaptability to stress. So that's the special wind constitution, and that's on page 92. So the foods may be a little bit different, and you're going to enjoy maybe some flaxseed. Again, basil, marjoram, fennel, rosemary, lentils, black beans, kidney beans, millet, barley, wild rice, and white rice, beets. And in my book, I talk about the differences between fiber, high fiber versus low fiber, or what I even call soluble and insoluble. Or soluble is your moist type of fiber, and your insoluble is the drier, like, hey, that's what I picture. So again, where are you in your level of disease or illness? I mean, can you digest fiber? Does that cause a problem? So is it just histamine forming foods? Is it fiber that's causing a reaction? Is it not enough fiber? This is really for you, the patient, the person, to be very proactive and to do the work and to read and understand what it is that you need exactly. And if you're a person who's really wanting to help somebody else, unless you can control what they're doing and what they put in their body, it's just not going to work as well as if the person is deciding, hey, I am going to do this, and I am going to follow these recipes, and I'm going to cut out these foods that are higher in histamine. I'm not going to have wine or alcohol. I'm not going to have cheeses. I'm not going to have deli meats. And I'm going to make sure that my food is not bad. I'm never going to, really going to have to look at your leftovers. It may not be a good idea for some people. Maybe even a day or two, old food for some people is just, it's risky if you are very sensitive. So that would be my suggestion, rather than, just looking at, a whole list of foods, because basically, I mean, we're looking at your fresh fruits and vegetables, and especially the non-starchy types of veggies and your greens. Okay. So, but also there can be some moist uh, grains and starchy veggies as well. So there's a lot of different lists to choose from. And this, if you read the book, I think it will help even more because you will have the understanding of the different body types, and it gives you a list under each body type of, hey, here's the legumes, here's the grains and starchy vegetables, here's the nuts, seeds, and oils, the spices, the bitter greens, this type of protein. So if you have the let's see, if you've got the, let me look it up here. I've got it right here, like the special wind constitution that I was talking about, like what types of proteins? Chicken and quinoa, a plant protein, small amounts of fish. So here, that, not really a lot of red meats for a special wind constitution. But what about if you have what I would call that damp heat, in the intestines? That's, damp heat. It's kind of probably, it's the same as like having a stomach fire, and it's what it sounds like. You're going to have that smelly, foul smelling stool, burning, itching, right? Discharges that are thick and sticky and yellow and white. and the proteins, again, some fish, egg whites, goat's milk, yogurt, goat cheese, rice milk, quinoa. And just know that you will stay away from a lot of other fermented foods. So again, the acidic foods, like your vinegars and your citrus fruits and your fermented foods, which would also be like your, generally speaking, your yogurts, could be bad. But again, you've got to be your own detective, and maybe you do better with a goat's milk type of yogurt. So I hope that this helps. And, we will see you at the next lesson. And I do love it when people ask for particular information if you need help with anything specific, because that's what I love to do, is to help you learn how to eat healthy and how to feel happy. All right. So I am Dr. Michele from Living Well with Dr. Michele. I hope you enjoyed my podcast.